Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you.
The irony of having to wait around for all the car noises to shut the fuck up so I can intro the video. What's up, everybody? I'm Eric Harrison. Welcome to the Death Twitch. If they'll stop with all the drag racing outside, we're going to talk about an old school horror. Well, kind of old school. We always old school here on the Death Twitch, but we're going back to the 70s. We're going to 1977 and The Car.
Evil has visited the earth in many forms. Now it returns as the car.
There was no driver in the car.
Possessed.
I know why he didn't go into the cemetery. The ground was hallowed.
Who knows what it wants? They all know nothing can stop the car. There's nowhere to turn.
The car, he's in here.
Nowhere to hide. No way to stop the car.
I think I hear the engine of that car. It's around here somewhere. Wait, I'm scared. No, I promise you I won't go out. Tell me what to do, baby.
What evil force drives the car?
Alright, so The Car, 1977, was released amongst a slew of other, killer car movies. I don't know what was going on back in the 1970s, but for some reason, America was obsessed with vehicular manslaughter, what with Death Race 2000, Steven Spielberg's Duel, Crash. It just, too many to name. It just goes on and on. In fact, it's my understanding that one of the first video games ever made was called Death Race, and of course it was about little car pixel running over a little pixel person. Back in the mid-70s, there was a lot of protests and anger by parental groups over, these video games teaching kids to run over other humans. If only they knew how far things would come. Let's talk about how this car is basically Satan. It's the devil. There's no other explanation, which is something I like. They don't try to give some kind of big, crazy explanation. It just basically comes off like, this is the devil. He decided to manifest as his car and go on a nice Sunday drive and run a bunch of people over. In fact, the movie actually opens with a quote from the Satanic Bible, of all fucking things. So if that doesn't tell you what you're dealing with here, I don't know what else. It's just like, hey, let's not bother with a bunch of, exposition. It's the fucking devil. He's gonna run your ass down. Now, like I said, so anytime the car is on the screen, it's the shit. This movie is called The Car. It is absolutely the bomb anytime the car shows up. It looks evil. It looks like a badass. No other car looks like it. It can do anything. It doesn't have any other motivation other than that. It just likes to be bad. It just likes to do stuff that maybe it shouldn't do. Oh, just run this guy off a bridge. No biggie. It's all in a day's work. But, so the actual car was designed by George Barris, who is famous for being a movie/TV car designer. He did the Batmobile from the 1960s, Batman TV show, Knight Rider, the Munsters Roadster, and, it just goes on and on. He can create some badass cars, and he did that with this one, which is actually a 1971 Lincoln Continental Mark III. 4 of these were made, and at the cost of $84,000, I think, a piece, or separately. Must be separate. I'm not sure. But they made 4 of them out of steel, by the way, not fiberglass. So these were real cars, customized out of, like I said, a Lincoln Continental, made to look just absolutely evil and awesome. 2 of them were destroyed during stunts in the movie. And then the other two were basically used for, all the other shots on screen, driving around, just basically sitting there looking cool and whatnot. I think one of them has survived. I think there's at least one left. But let's talk about this sucker. I want to say that it very much comes off like a TV movie. You could tell a lot of their budget and a lot of their time and energy went into the car and all the scenes with the car. So when it came down to the scenes with the people are definitely, the characters are one-dimensional. And this is going to be unusual for me to say, but I think that in this case, the characters are too playful. They're so one-dimensional. They're too playful. They're too jokey that it comes off as just badly written characters. They're not grounded. Now, that's very unusual for me to say because I'm always like, give me fun characters. If a character's having fun, I'm having fun. But like I said, in this case, it's like they're just too jokey. I'm not buying it.
Now, you listen to me, Copper. You move toward that door, and I move slowly toward the back door.
At the same time, Lauren?
You wake your sleeping beauties, I leave discreetly, and you leave in one piece.
Anything you say, Captain Quick.
But none of the characters really have any dimension to them except for this angry drunk guy that he's introduced at the beginning of the movie, and, he's basically painted throughout the whole first half of the movie as just your typical one-dimensional, he's a drunk asshole, beats his wife, hate this guy, everybody hates him, he's a bad person. That's what he's painted as throughout the whole movie, and then he winds up being like the only one with any kind of an actual arc, though. Even over like the main hero, he loses his girlfriend when the car kills him, but he doesn't really have an arc at all. None of the other characters have any kind of an arc per se, just the drunk, angry old guy that we're supposed to hate winds up kind of becoming a hero by helping to stop the car in the end. So, okay. Alright. That works, I guess. Let's not forget Kylie and Kim Richards. Kylie, of course, from Halloween, and then I believe she's a desperate housewife now. So her and her sister played actual sisters in this movie. And so that's cool. I just had to mention that. There they are. They're there. Look at them. The desert setting, I think, was a good way to go because I can't see this taking place in a lot of other settings. No, the desert definitely was the way to go because it's kind of an isolated place, but it looks like hell. And I'm not being insulting to the desert. I literally grew up there. I should know. It's a wasteland. It can look beautiful, but it also is very hellish. So the fact that the devil is driving the devil's car through hell, kind of a location, that works. So this is a weird situation in which, normally I'll take a slow burn movie. I'm usually not usually bored by a slower movie. In fact, I'd often rather it take its time. I'm very much about giving me some character development. These are things that I usually look for in my horror movies. In this case, I want to say because of the TV movie nature of it, anytime the human characters are on screen, I lose interest. I start to lose interest. This is one of those rare situations where give me the car as a Friday the 13th formula, where it's like, we don't need a lot of characterization, really. I don't need any plot. Just give me some kills. A lot of awesome fucking kills with this car. I could have taken the Friday the 13th plot with this if it was just, hey, every 10 minutes or less, every 7 minutes, just he runs down a new group of people. That would have been great. If it was just the whole movie was that, I'd have been fine with no characterization and no plot. If it was just constant gore and people getting ran over, I'd have been like, hells yeah. Okay. Now, one of the things that this movie is definitely missing is, even though when the car is on screen and it does any kind of a crash or something involving killing a person, it's always awesome, except for they do these cutaways where they never actually show anybody getting hit. They just kind of they cut to the car, they cut to the person, and the person's like, oh, and then they cut back to the car speeding away, and they never really show anybody get hit. So in a movie about a killer car that runs people down, and you never actually see anybody get ran down, except for this guy gets ran over by a horse by accident. Unrelated incident there. Yeah, we should have seen more people getting ran over by the car instead of just reactions oh no, I got hit. Oh fuck, I got hit. Now, there's a scene which I feel like is going to be similar. It's their version of the Jaws scene in which, in Jaws where it's we've got to have this 4th of July thing where the beaches, everybody comes to the beach and all the tourists and we get all this money. We live off the tourist season. We got to have this. It's not necessarily the exact same, but it's like similar. And this one, it's where all the kids are going to have some parade rehearsal. So probably a 4th of July thing, I'm sure. And instead of it being called off, it continues to go on and the car comes and terrorizes them. A lot like in Jaws, where instead of the 4th of July thing being called off, it continues and then Jaws comes and terrorizes everybody. It's not, they didn't rip it off, every detail perfectly, but they found the plot structures and they're like, okay, we got to hit this note now. This is the part now where, all these lives were put in danger because this shit didn't get shut down.
What do you mean? I told you to cancel that parade rehearsal. What happened? What happened?
Now wait a second. There are 2 ways to deal with this problem. You're either gonna kill this animal or you're gonna cut off its food supply.
Larry, we have to close the beaches.
Now, here's an interesting thing to mention before we wrap this sucker up is that Elliot Silverstein is actually the reason why the director's cut exists now. So I believe it was back in, I want to say, actually I'm not sure, early 70s, perhaps in the 60s, he had directed a episode of The Twilight Zone called The Obsolete Man, in which back then, it was like you did your job as the director and then that was it. You hand the footage over to the editor puts it together the way the editor puts it together, and then they released it. And back then, apparently, the director didn't have a say about that. So he directed his episode a certain way, and then the editor edited it together in a way that didn't make sense to what he was trying to tell, the story he was trying to tell. So he took, basically Hollywood to task, and it ultimately resulted in the director's cut. Because before then, they didn't have a say, and now at least they get to have their cut. It's a weird thing. The director should get his cut anyway. Why would you hire the director? Not to let him do his job, but whatever. So that's about it, guys. That's The Car from 1977. It's about a medium for me. It's not as bad as it needs to be thoroughly entertaining. Like I said, if we had just gotten constant killing with the car, this would be like an A+ fucking movie. Unfortunately, they did try to have characters in a plot. I know I was saying unfortunately, and it just doesn't really work. It's distracting, but still, when it does it right, it really does it right. So let's go ahead and give it I'm going to go with, it's not that high of a rating, but 2 3/4. It's about average, I'd say, but go ahead and check out any of the scenes with the car. In fact, you probably don't need to watch the movie. You've likely seen all the coolest scenes here in this review. But yeah, anytime, check out the scenes with the car. That's always the shit.
Cat!